Week 2 of college football is boring. It is truly boring. Boring with a capital B, an exclamation point at the end. Heck, capitalize, italicize, and underline the whole term. I mean, the fact that college football, or college game day, is going to Alabama and Texas is just an example of how bad this entire week is. And Alabama, Texas, and I'm going to keep this in the realm of talking about Buckeye football, that game has a chance to be to the 2022 season what Nebraska versus Ohio State was in the 2019 season. A very hyped up matchup, two blue blood programs, one who was struggling, who had the home field advantage, who had a chance to get a signature win and build their program off of it. This game has a chance to be that in the fact that Alabama could go in there and win 49-7. And if that happens, all the media people and everyone will be surprised. Their jaws will be on the floor. Mine won't be, and neither should any of yours. Now, I'm not saying that game is going to be that bad. I think that that's actually unlikely just because of, beating a Power 5 team by 42 points at their home, especially when it has talent like Texas, is pretty hard to do. But also Texas, like Nebraska, is themselves. They're their own worst enemy, and they've been overhyped for most years, for the past decade, and I myself am at fault of that for Nebraska this year. I mean, we'll see if they can turn it around. There is a chance of that, but the Northwestern loss and the North Dakota State win didn't look so good, and the media is very likely to be responsible for overhyping Texas. This year, I've had to hear it all preseason about how Texas is going to be this great team. And hey, if they beat Alabama or play them close, I might be wrong, but I have had this feeling since the beginning that Texas is being given benefit of the doubt that it really doesn't deserve, honestly. And I don't know. I think that game is boring. I think that a lot of other games are too. I think the most entertaining matchup is going to be Tennessee and Pittsburgh. That's probably going to be Tennessee and Pittsburgh, Iowa and Iowa State, which neither of those two teams are ranked, but it still should be entertaining. USC versus Stanford, Arizona State versus Oklahoma State, Baylor versus BYU. Unfortunately, it's at 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time. That's going to be a pretty late game. And I'm going to be releasing picks for all of the games that I think are good in a post tomorrow on both Instagram and on my YouTube channel, on my community page. But yeah, week 2 is boring, and this game, which we're finally getting to right now, it's a game that Ohio State has on their schedule to rest and recover. And we are going to preview this game, and I'm going to give you my prediction of it. So after that unique introduction, we're just talking about games and such, I want to get to this game and preview this game, not just the entire week of college football or Big Ten football, but specifically talk about this game. And what we learned from Notre Dame is that this Ohio State team is good offensively, but they're not quite as good offensively as we expected them to be coming out of the gate. And their defense, especially their run defense. Keep in mind the biggest plays that went in favor of Notre Dame were in the passing game. They were not in the run game. Ohio State's run defense, their front seven, their linebacker core especially, Tommy Eichenberg, well exceeded expectations. Not just my own, but the national expectations and the national narrative. Jim Knowles is that guy. And Arkansas State, I'm going to say they're outmatched at every position. They absolutely are. Arkansas State should not win this football game. If they do, then I don't know, maybe half the Ohio State fan base should retire. That'd be like a close to, not as bad, but close to an Appalachian State 2007 type football loss. Ohio State's not going to lose this game. That's not what this video is about. But this video is talking about what can Ohio State, how are they going to win, whether it's in dominating fashion or can Arkansas State test them in a certain way, and what's Ohio State going to, what are they going to learn about themselves? How are they going to progress and better themselves as a team? Because much like Michigan facing Colorado State, Hawaii, and Connecticut, you don't schedule those games. You schedule them to basically give your team a preseason in a certain sense, to learn more about your team, to warm you up before conference play. That's what Arkansas State is for Ohio State. That's what Toledo is for Ohio State. And Ohio State is going to be facing James Blackman, who is not special, but he has experience. He played a very good game last week in Arkansas State's opener against Grambling. And he beat him 58-3. He went 15 of 20 for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns. So you're not going to be facing Trevor Lawrence or Tua Tagovailoa or like Bryce Young or even your own CJ Stroud. But it's not like, again, Ohio State is facing an FCS team without a quarterback or like they're facing Iowa's offense. Their defense is still more likely in the passing game going to get just a little bit of a test, a little bit of a warm-up. And I think that that's good because against Notre Dame, that was the one area of the defense that was a little weak, was one-on-ones, whether it was Cam Brown amongst Michael Mayer, which is a big mismatch in favor of the tight end, and Notre Dame's wide receivers at times won one-on-one matchups against Ohio State defensive backs. So this matchup, I think, it really does favor Ohio State, not just in the sense that Ohio State is going to dominate this game, but in the sense that Ohio State can get a little bit, even from a school such lower than them as Arkansas State, they can still get a little bit of a test on defense to learn more, to improve, and that's what any good coaching staff is asking for in this game. They're asking for their players to play their hardest, yes, but most importantly to learn, to improve. If they need rest, like what CJ Stroud needed last year, you take this game as a resting game. That's what you do. You rest in these kind of games. This game's going to take place at noon Eastern time. It'll air on the Big Ten Network, and since it's a noon game against Arkansas State, the horseshoe might not be entirely full. Ohio State is given a 98.4% chance to win, according to ESPN's Football Power Index. And the shoe not being full is not a shot at Ohio State. It's just a fact of the modern world that noon games against these kind of opponents, you don't always get full capacity no matter where you are. And the Buckeyes are favored by big numbers too, 44.5 points to be specific. Ohio State outmatches Arkansas State, of course, at staff, quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end, offensive line, defensive line, linebacker, defensive back, and special teams. They outmatch them everywhere. It's Butch Jones versus Ryan Day. That in and of itself should tell you who is going to win in absolute dominant fashion. What I found interesting, though, and again, it's one game that each team has played. Both are 1-0. There's a tiny sample size for each team, and that plus the talent, the football power ranking, that all of those things combined, of course, points to Ohio State, being the far superior team, as they are and as they should be. Ohio State's ranked 3rd in ESPN's FPI. Arkansas State's ranked 82nd in the FPI. Ohio State's also the nation's 3rd most talented team. The top 3 teams by talent right now are Alabama, then Georgia, then Ohio State. In the FPI, they're Alabama, Georgia, and Ohio State. So the talent matters. I mean, the fact that the top 3 in college football and in talent and in power metrics, they're all ranked the same, goes to show how separate the top 3 are from the rest of college football and how talented they are. I mean, they are their own tier, and Ohio State is among the 2 SEC giants of Alabama and Georgia. Interestingly enough, though, by efficiency, these 2 teams are pretty darn similar. You look at efficiency, and Ohio State's not up there in the top 10. Michigan is 6th. USC, I think, is 5th. BYU is 2nd. Georgia's 1st. Alabama's 3rd. I'm going to quickly go and see who number 4 is. I'm not exactly sure who number 4 is. Number 4 is SMU. Ohio State's not in the top 10. UAB is, Tennessee is, Air Force is, and it's only one game. The sample size is too small to make any accurate judgment. But Ohio State's 18th, and Arkansas State is 16th. So they're pretty efficient teams. They could be more efficient, But it's not like Arkansas State is like Hawaii. Michigan is top 6 in efficiency. They're the 6th most efficient team in the nation. Hawaii, who's played 2 games and has therefore double the sample size and is probably going to has double the accurate results that all these other teams do, they're 128th in efficiency. So Ohio State versus Arkansas State is going to look different than Michigan versus Hawaii, despite the talent disparity being pretty similar. And I think that that's just something that is a little eye-catching to me. Will it determine the game? No, absolutely not, because Ohio State's talent is just that much higher, that much taller, bigger, wider, more muscle mass, less body fat, however you want to describe a more talented football player, more agile, more speed, more acceleration, more mental awareness and focus, better nutrition. Ohio State's better in every way compared to Arkansas State. They're absolutely better in every way. The question, of course, is how is Ohio State going to win this game? Because we know they're going to win, but how are they going to do it? Are they going to air it out? Are they going to ground and pound? Are they going to go balanced? And even then, you can split it up into multiple questions. When they go balanced, are they going to try for a bunch of big plays, test the outside a lot in the run, go for the deep pass, go vertical in the passing game? Are they going to keep it balanced there? Or are they going to treat this like a business trip? Run up the middle, pass when needed, pass short, medium, maybe take a downfield shot just to practice. How is Ohio State going to win this game? And I think this plays into who I think the players to watch are. For Ohio State, it's running back TreVeyon Henderson. Now, TreVeyon Henderson did not have a great game against Notre Dame. He was very well limited, and Miyan Williams was the slightly better, if not equal, running back to TreVeyon Henderson. Miyan Williams, his ability to ground and pound, he's similar to Master Teague in the way that he's a power back, but he has more agility, better footwork. He's just a better player, more built too. He's a bowling ball. That's how Miyan Williams is built. And that kind of run game against a team like Notre Dame, where if you're just content with pounding it up the middle, not trying to get big plays, which Notre Dame very well limited, you're better off using Miyan Williams against that kind of defense. But this is Arkansas State. This isn't Notre Dame, who, by the way, I haven't released my own top 25, and I'm not going to until the last week of September or the 1st of October, because I want a better sample size. I want to see teams play multiple games before I give them a ranking. But if I were to release one, Notre Dame moved up in my rankings. I view them as a top 10 team now after that matchup. That was a legitimate defense. Henderson's now facing Arkansas State, who is a collection of 3 stars and 2 stars. Him, with that offensive line and open space, will eat. He had 91 yards on 15 carries for 6.1 yards a carry against Notre Dame. And in 2021, Henderson had 183 rushing attempts for 1,248 rushing yards, 6.8 yards per carry, and 15 rushing touchdowns with a long of 68. He might break that long of 68 yards in this game. Henderson can catch the ball as well. He had 27 receptions for 312 yards and 4 touchdowns in 2021, with a long of 70, which I believe was against the Minnesota Golden Gophers in the Buckeye opener in 2021, which was over a year ago. And I remember it like it was a few weeks ago or a month ago. I remember that game quite vividly. TreVeyon Henderson's going to be the player of the game for Ohio State, in my opinion. He's not just the player to watch, but either him or Miyan Williams is going to be the player of the game. CJ Stroud will do well, but Jackson Smith-Njigba is out. You have Marvin Harrison Jr., Emeka Egbuka, Julian Fleming. You have many others too. We saw other guys whose names, pardon me, I forget, that stepped up. That's just how deep Brian Hartline's wide receiver room is. Watch for the defense too. Tommy Eichenberg, JT Tuimoloau, Jack Sawyer. Just watch for the defense too. And seeing that Arkansas State's quarterback, I think, is the player to watch. Watch for Denzel Burke and Cameron Brown, Tanner McAllister, Ronnie Hickman. Watch for the secondary, too, for them to make some interceptions, for them to deflect passes, because I think James Blackman is going to be the player on Arkansas State's side to watch. James Blackman went 15 of 20 for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns against Grambling last week. And he's a true super senior. Played at Florida State as a true freshman in 2017 after DeAndre Francois went down, which of course killed Florida State's season that year, and Jimbo Fisher left on his merry way to Texas A&M, which that's a whole different story for a different video. But I really don't like Jimbo Fisher. But anyway, Blackman was at Florida State for 4 years, transferred to Arkansas State in 2021, where he had 1,334 passing yards, 8 touchdowns, 4 picks, a 130 passer rating. He currently has the nation's #1 QB rating with a 97.8. It's against Grambling. Again, not a whole lot of sample size, so you'll see some funny statistics and rankings in the initial part of the year, but as the season progresses, everything will even out. TreVeyon Henderson, watch out for him and Miyan Williams and that ground game for Ohio State. Watch out for James Blackman if Arkansas State makes any kind of play. I think it will be from James Blackman. And the prediction for this game, Ohio State is going to just blow out Arkansas State and win 63-7. Ohio State could hang 100 on this team, and most of those 63 points will probably be scored in the first half. But after that, Ohio State will wind it down. They'll put in second and third stringers. You'll probably see Kyle McCord here, maybe even Devin Brown, and just slinging it around to wide receivers. Ohio State's going to dominate both sides of the football. They're just going to. Defense, offense. Arkansas State's sole touchdown will probably come in the second half. TreVeyon Henderson will get back to his groove. I expect him to have well over 100 yards rushing. Probably, he could push for, I'd say he could push for 200, but knowing how he was treated last year in Ryan Day's offense, he'll probably be pulled out before he reaches 200. So I'd say he'd get around the 150 mark, a touchdown or probably 2 touchdowns, some receiving yards too. Miyan Williams will also be in there and probably get close to 100 rushing yards. The run game will be in its groove. Henderson will get big play. He'll probably get big play after big play, a few big plays at least. And this game really is for rest and recovery for the entire team. And I really do want to stress that you don't need anyone being injured in this game. You don't. You don't need CJ Stroud majestically, finding a way to break his leg or tear his ACL, which is very much not likely to happen, but there's always a possibility. Prepare for the worst. Just prepare for everything. That's what the best coaching staffs in the nation do. They prepare for everything. They push their players hard. They prepare for the worst and the best. They expect the highest of their players, and that's Ohio State football. It's Alabama football. It's Georgia football. And last year it was, Cincinnati and Michigan, and other years it's been Michigan State and Washington. That's what the best teams every given year do, is good culture, high expectations, strong character, strong talent, great elite performance. And that's what Ohio State's going to put on here. They're going to put on a show against Arkansas State. I have absolutely no doubt about it. Game will be over before it's over, 63-7, which means the Buckeyes will cover the spread, which they did not do against Notre Dame last weekend. Arkansas State's efficiency just won't matter. They look efficient. It's only one game, though, so it is an illusion. It's not going to matter. They are going to faceplant right on their face the minute kickoff happens. Butch Jones' hot seat will get warmer. They did not do well last year at all. Arkansas State was a dumpster fire. It was honestly, Arkansas State was a dumpster fire last year. Butch Jones as a head coach has not been a success at all. Arkansas State went 2-10 last year. They're 1-0 right now, but they have a road game at Ohio State this weekend, and next weekend they have a road game at Memphis. And then at Old Dominion, they could very well be 1-3 heading into their next home game, which is October 1st. And Arkansas State has no chance to win, in my opinion. No chance at all. This is going to be a very vanilla and boring football game to most, but I'm going to be interested in seeing how Ohio State's offense operates, how well and dominant their defense does, because Ohio State's an interesting story this year. They're my pick to win the national championship. They were in the preseason, and I want to see some more before I change any of that, and I don't feel like I would change any of that, honestly, because Alabama, Georgia, they played far inferior opponents to who Ohio State played last weekend in the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, who I, to my own surprise even, actually underrated in the preseason. Now, I do view that as a true top 10 win, and I think that Notre Dame will be a top 10, at minimum top 15 team at the season's end, and that will be a great win for Ryan Day and company. And that's all I have to say for this video. Ohio State's going to dominate this game. They're going to rest most of their star players after halftime, and they'll do something pretty similar against Toledo. Entering Wisconsin, that is going to be it's going to be another test on how the Buckeye offense performs against a great and solid defense, coached by one of the best DCs in the country in Jim Leonhard. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, click the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this video down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys around. Bye.